Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone that is here with us today, and also welcome those of you who are joining us at a later date. As we know, there is no time, so we're all together right now. So before we get started today, I would like for you to put both of your feet on the floor if you can, and turn your hands put your hands on your legs, and with your palms open and facing up, I'd like you to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. And settle into that presence that adores us, that loves us more than anything in the world and anything out of the world. And just sit peacefully for a moment with that presence. Father, you stand before me and behind, beside me in the place I see myself, and everywhere I go. You are in all the things I look upon, the sounds I hear, and every hand that reaches for my own. In you, time disappears and place becomes a meaningless belief. For what surrounds your son and keeps him safe is love itself. There is no source but this, and nothing that does not share its holiness, that stands beyond your one creation or without the love which holds all things within itself. Father, your Son is like yourself. We come to you in your own name today to be at peace within your everlasting love. And that's from Workbook 264. Whenever you're ready, come back to all of us, and please mute yourself so that we don't have background noise interrupting whoever is speaking. Okay, I'm going to start off by sharing my screen. And can you all see it? Oh, I think everybody is mute, but can you see it?
Don't see it yet,
No.
Sharon.
Okay, good. Okay. So we're going to be starting with today that we're still in, we're reviewing lesson 61, and or we're looking at 61, I should say, and we're going to start on paragraph 2. I'm going to go ahead and read that, and then I'd like to ask Ardith to read number 3 after I'm finished with number 2, if you're willing, Ardith.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. To the ego, today's idea is the epitome of self-glorification. But the ego does not understand humility, mistaking it for self-debasement. Humility consists of accepting your role in salvation and in taking no other. It is not humility to insist you cannot be the light of the world if that is the function God assigned to you. It is only arrogance that would assert this function cannot be for you, and arrogance is always of the ego.
True humility requires that you accept today's idea because it is God's voice which tells you it is true. This is a beginning step in accepting your real function on earth. It is a giant stride toward taking your rightful place in salvation. It is a positive assertion of your right to be saved and an acknowledgement of the power that is given you to save others.
So I'd like to stop right there for a minute and ask if anyone has anything they would like to say about these, either the second or the third paragraph. And just, oh, you know what? I need to get back to the screen that you're all on so I can see that and see if you're raising your hands. Well, I don't see any hands up, so no one has any thoughts on any of those, either one of those paragraphs? And if not, we'll move on to the third. Megan, would you like to read the third?
Sure.
Okay.
I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it would still go on there. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
True humility requires that you accept today's idea because it is God's voice which tells you it is true. This is a beginning step in accepting your real function on earth. It is a giant stride toward taking your your rightful place in salvation. It is a positive assertion of your right to be saved and an acknowledgement of the power that is given you to save others.
Mm-hmm.
And 4.
You
Pardon?
will,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry.
Okay.
You will want to think about this idea as often as possible today. It is the perfect answer to all illusions and therefore to all temptation. It brings all the images you have made about yourself to the truth and helps you depart in peace, unburdened and certain of your purpose.
Uh-huh. Does anyone have anything they want to discuss with that?
I'd like to make just a quick observation. We read paragraph 3 twice, and it fits because by the time you get to 4, it says you want to think about this idea as often as possible. Well, that shows how important it is. I think we should kind of concentrate on this, and I would love to hear somebody comment on something about that. Just that, I think it's wonderful, actually.
Does anyone have anything to say? I'm not quite sure if I stop sharing.
Well,
Here.
oh, there. Now you're sharing your screen. You weren't sharing your screen before, Sharon. I was the one doing it, but now you are. So if you could swipe to the lesson.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, now I see.
Yeah. And now everybody can see it. I think last week we talked about the first paragraph at length. And so I think we may have covered a lot already. So it's not like we're all out of ideas. It's just that you wouldn't want to be repeating everything that was said last week, even though,
I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Thing enough. Yeah. Remember we talked about I'm the light of the world. What does it mean to be the light of the world? And what does humility mean? And what is arrogance? And it's totally opposite to what the ego thinks, right? So that we talked about all that.
Yes.
Can I just scoot in and just make a quick
Right.
comment too?
Yes.
I was when I was observing us doing it. That it's just great that we did it. Actually, rereading it won't happen. It'll probably happen again with all the lessons we're going to be covering. But I would point out. I think it is a good exclamation point on the end of paragraph 3, where it's a positive assertion of your right to be saved, and an acknowledgement of the power that's given you to save others. That's something we can sit with. I think I can anyway, and will. So it's a nice thing to get that extra little boost.
Yeah, it does bring up the question for me also, though, that what does it mean to save others? What does that actually mean?
What do you think it means?
Well, I think what it means is that I don't know how to save others. I mean, that's what it brings up for me. I don't know how to save anyone. I don't, all I know is to constantly be asking to be led myself. So it's like, if I can't save myself, if I have to turning it over for outside help, then, I don't know how I'm to save others. But I just trust that it's all okay as long as I'm turning everything over to the Holy Spirit to decide for me that I'm doing the best I can.
I know there's a lot more to all of these teachings that all of us can gather, but I think you spoke it very well. I think it's a very nice thing that you said, because that's exactly the way I feel for the most part. And if there's something very specific that one of our astute scholars of the course knows, please do share that. But that's a pretty good statement, I would say, Sharon. Pretty good indeed. Thank you.
Thanks.
If I can chime in.
Sure.
Please.
I can't see hands anymore. I don't.
If you stop screen sharing, you can.
Oh, I will. Okay, great.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Sharon, with what you said, because the only responsibility that we ever have is to accept the atonement for ourselves. And what is the accepting the atonement is to withdraw my clamping, or to withdraw my emotional investment in my own take. So I withdraw and I ask to see with the eyes of the Holy Spirit. That's accepting the atonement. And that's exactly, I think, what is meant here. And at the beginning of the paragraph, it says, true humility requires that you accept today's idea. I mean, it requires humility to just say, I have no clue, and I'm withdrawing any investment I have in the take that I have. Yeah. That is humility.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And because it's the totally different take from what the world does. If you think like, am I to save the world? Oh, I possibly can't. And then you think you're humble because you say you can't. But the humbleness or the humility is in offering it up to the Holy Spirit and the willingness to be led. Yeah. So that all starts to make sense all of a sudden.
Oh, thank you, Johanna. I appreciate that. So Derek, and then Megan.
Yeah, so just following what all three of you have just said, I kind of mixed this up a little bit just this week, because a coworker was going through some pretty heavy stuff in her personal life, and she turned to me to sort of like, vent, or just for a loving ear to talk to. And as she was in emotional distress and was, talking, I thought this particular lesson, I thought, I'm here, turn away from my computer and my spreadsheet, and I'm like, here's a brother reaching out to be heard, just held in love, basically. And I thought, ooh, that's a lot of heavy stuff she's going through. And ooh, I have some suggestions or ideas. And ooh, I'm the light of the world. Maybe I should try to help. And I was about to say something, and then I realized, whoa, this is Derek the ego seeing her as a body in having a problem that I should help her with. And I'm thinking that Derek the ego is the light of the world that needs to say something to help this situation. And before I said anything, I caught myself and I go, whoa. Give up to Holy Spirit all of these perceptions and all of these fears. And I did that. And Spirit, this particular time, did not give me anything to say to her. I just listened, and she just said, thank you for listening. And then I didn't have a single thing to say. And I said, if you need anything, let me know. I'm here for you. And then I just turned around and went back to work. But I was just glad that I feel like I caught myself in that misinterpretation of me, the ego, versus giving that up. So I want to share that.
Yeah. Thank you, Derek. That brought up some stuff for me too. Thank you. Megan.
Well, now that Derek said that, I can't remember what I was going to say, because I had something similar happen to me, where a friend just is in a really bad spot. And I don't know her that well, but I just said, she needs to go somewhere. And she said, I'll take an Uber. It's like an hour away. And I said, oh my God, I'll drive you. I said, I don't have a car, but I said, if you want, I can drive your car. And she's like, really? You drive me an hour away? And I'm thinking, why not? What else do I have to do? And I thought, this was the ultimate in me. Like, I didn't invest in what she's going through. I divested and said, I was able to say, I'm so sorry you're going through this, because I really was feeling bad for her, but I wasn't feeling bad myself. I was feeling empathy for what she was going through. And then I just felt, when I realized there was something I could do, I offered. She could always say no, but she was so surprised that I just offered to just take her somewhere, which for me is nothing, but for her was a big deal. Like, she doesn't have support like that. So I was thinking, oh my God, this is the course in action, which is, if you're not thinking about it 100% of the time, it can take over your actions for you, and you can do and be rather than trying to do and be. You can just do and be.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I notice is the more I practice it, the more it's my first response. And I appreciate that so much, so much. Liz, you're up. I think you may be muted. I can't see.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, great. Go ahead.
Okay, I apologize. I am not up on Zoom and all of that stuff. I'm a YouTube person. Anyway, this seems to be like a perfect time to say thank you to all of you who were at last week's meeting, which I ended up monopolizing. So, but I appreciate that all of you played your roles as the course prescribes, as being helpful in comforting me. And anyway, this seems to be like a good time to say thank you. I'm sorry that I took up all the time I did, but it was a good discussion. And as far as our roles are concerned, I think one of the reasons why I get frustrated is because I've taken my job that as the course prescribes very seriously. And I'm not asking for rewards for me, for my petty ego self. I'm asking for validation, if you will, that my being the light of the world is getting out there somewhere. And I guess maybe I'm surrounded by a lot of clueless people, because it doesn't seem like the message gets through very often. And that was part of my frustration that I was expressing last week. But it is a good time to say I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the time that you spent listening to me and responding in kind ways. So thank you.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. Okay, and then Ardith.
First of all, Liz, no thanks necessary. You are an angel, and so happy to have you here. And then I was just going to say, Derek, Megan, you know how to make somebody cry, darn it, anyway. I was right there with both of you. It was just so beautifully orchestrated by Spirit, and you opened up and did what you had to do, and lovingly. And that is so important. This is, the more I read, and I love our group, the Let's Discuss group, and I love this and all the things that we go to, but the more I encounter my brothers and sisters, my mirrors, I am so grateful and thankful for having been brought to this course, because this is what it's all about. You touch hearts, and that's how it's supposed to be. And I am so thankful for you and being here. So that's it. But stop making me cry, for Pete's sakes.
Ditto, Ardith, ditto.
Yeah.
We love you too, Artist.
Thank you. Mutual.
Yeah, I just had a situation yesterday where my son is in emotional pain right now, and he though he knows about the course and he says he believes it, so it gives me a little bit of an open door to insert things sometimes. But I realized yesterday, and I was grateful that I feel like Holy Spirit whispered in my ear, you don't know anything, so don't be advising him anything. And I told him, I said, Richard, all I know to say is get quiet, go inside and ask the Holy Spirit to help you see the situation differently. And I know that will help. And he said, I know, Mom. So I appreciate what the course teaches us. And I appreciate, I don't know, I just really appreciate how it works, how all of it works to help me in my life. So, Megan, did you have something else?
I wanted to thank you because right there, I felt like you were my mom at a certain point in my life. And I told her I was having a problem, and I said, she said, well, tell me about it. I said, I don't think I can tell you. And she said, why not? I said, I don't think I can trust you.
Oh,
And because at first I said, I don't want to talk about it. And then she said, well, why? We've always talked before. And I said, well, because before you used to act differently and now you don't. And she said, well, do you want to expound on that? And I was like, well, no. And then I said, well, do you really want me to? And she said, well, if you feel okay to, then yes, but if not, don't. And so she gave me a whole lot of room to say no. And that option was so incredibly powerful. So then I told her what was going on. And I basically accused her of doing things. They may have been subconscious, and she possibly was doing them, but not to the extent she knew that they were affecting me. And her response was just so wonderful. She said, I can't tell you whether I'm doing that or not, but she said, whatever I can do to support you in taking care of yourself, that's what I want to do. So if you need to not talk to me, then don't talk to me. If you want to talk to me, then talk to me. If you sorry, your face moves. So I mean, the thing is, it was that whole like acceptance of wherever you are, I don't need to fix you or do anything, but I can just be there for you. And so I heard that echo in your voice, and I thought that's so nice to hear that feeling. And I'm not trying to make anybody cry.
thank you, Megan. Thank you. Okay, Johanna.
Both you, Sharon, and Megan's mom, that is such a vote of confidence, is if a mother can just say that and project or extend her confidence, her trust, her faith in the child. That is just the most beautiful gift you can give a child, or anyone really for that matter. Just wanted to share that. And thank you for doing it.
Thank you. He's actually not a child, he's 61, but
no, I mean, you're, biological child.
Yeah. Okay. And Reverend Jerry.
Hey, everybody. Hi. So nice to be in the group. And I'm just getting so uplifted by this reading and the conversation. Thank you, everybody. I want to get back a little bit to the reference that was made, and I thought was really useful. Accepting the atonement for ourselves is really being the light of the world. Yeshua says that there's only one problem and one solution. And the one problem is the idea of the separation that I remembered not to laugh at. So by becoming the light of the world, or recognizing and awakening that I am the light of the world, I'm joining my mind with the mind of God. And ideas leave not their source. I am an idea in the mind of God. And God thought through light and through love that there was a Christ. And I am that Christ indivisible, inseparable from everybody else as a Christ, and one in the idea that God created in its mind, and ideas leave not its source. I think that would be also an aspect of this acceptance of the atonement, and the idea that I'm not special. There's nothing egoic about it. He talks about being humble. Well, that's for sure. Humble, I mean, arrogance and grandeur, grandiosity would mess it up, and I would be back to a state of separation thought. So again, the idea that I'm one with Christ, I'm one with God, God is light, and this is just an extension of the great rays that God has always extended to everybody. And that's it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was wonderfully said. Beautiful. Well, shall we continue on to the next?
Maggie has her hand up.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. Let me go ahead, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Reverend Jerry. I raised my hand just, I just felt inspired to just kind of chime right in at the end of that. We were just reading before we got into our conversation, we were reading paragraph 4 from this lesson, which says that you want to think about this idea as often as possible. Like Ardith said, we repeated it a couple times today even, so that was helpful. But it says it is the perfect answer to all illusions and therefore to all temptation. It brings all the images you have made about yourself to the truth and helps you depart in peace, unburdened and certain of your purpose. And when Jerry's just talking about God being the light of the world and that just extension, it just makes me think about the light just dispelling the darkness just effortlessly, right? It says you're bringing all images you made about yourself to the truth, to that light. Right. And it's just, that's all that's needed. It just takes care of it just like that. And then we get to depart in this peace. So that's all. I just wanted to add it.
You know, this talk about light reminds me of traveling to the path of totality with the last full eclipse, and how dark it was when the eclipse was full. I mean, it was like night. The birds shut up. It was amazing how dark it was. And then when it just moved a hair past that totality and that tiny sliver of light came through, it lit up the whole area where you could see it was still, you know, twilight like, but it all of a sudden it went from dark to light. And I thought, you know, that's that little bit of willingness, that tiny bit of willingness can just blast out everything. It's exciting.
I love that, Sharon. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. So shall we go on with chapter 5? Okay, let me screen share over here and roll that up. And who would like to read? Andrew, how about you?
We can't see your screen yet, Sharon.
Okay.
I'll
Let me
read.
see. I thought
Yeah, and swipe. There you go. Fine.
now, okay. All right, great.
As many practice periods as possible should be undertaken today. Although each one need not exceed a minute or two, they should begin with telling yourself, I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. Then think about these statements for a short while, preferably with your eyes closed, if the situation permits. Let a few related thoughts come to you, and repeat the idea to yourself if your mind wanders away from the central thought.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, why don't you keep going with that? And does anyone have anything they want to say about that paragraph? If not, I'm going to have Andrew keep going with number 6.
Be sure.
Yes, I do. I want to say,
Sure.
I did try to raise my hand, but I guess it didn't want to do that.
Well, and I'm sorry that I can't see hands raised right now. I'm not as good technically with this stuff as Maggie and Johanna and Manuel or Manu. But
Okay, all right. No, I wanted to mention something because it's kind of a fun story. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Miracle Distribution Center,
Miracle Distribution Center.
which is
Yes.
another
Yeah, yeah.
Course in Miracles group. They've been going on, they're in their 45th year of providing weekly lessons, etc. And they
Is that
have,
Beverly Hutchinson? Is it
yeah.
Beverly Hutchinson?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, the reason I mention them is they've done two, they don't do these anymore, I don't think, but they used to do weekend and workshops all in different places in the country. And I live in the Chicago suburbs, and they had one, they've actually had two, and I've gone to both of them. But the first one was actually my first introduction to Miracle Distribution Center. And the woman who answers the phone, if you call Miracle Distribution Center, her name is Tess Patton. She had composed a song that we sang all weekend long that was just, I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. So for almost 20 years now, every time I come to this lesson, it's okay, I am the light of the world. That is my only function. And so
That's good.
it was just a really fun thing. And I highly recommend them as a sister organization to Foundation for Inner Peace. They have a lot of resources that are similar. But at any rate, that was just kind of an up note that I wanted to share with everybody.
Yes, and I think that Beverly Hutchins, is it Hutchins or Hutchinson?
Hutchinson,
Hutchinson.
McNeff.
I think she was very good friends with Judy.
Yes.
They all loved each other, and and Ken Wapnick, all of the people that have been with the course for so long. I think they all hold each other in very high regard, and she's a wonderful woman.
Yes, and
Yeah, they do.
Go ahead.
Well,
No, go ahead.
So they're doing a lot of stuff this year because it's the 45th anniversary of Miracle Distribution Center. And so
That's great.
I mean, yeah, they started that group in 1978. So the course had barely been out in the public by then. So yeah, Beverly goes way back, and she really is very upbeat and positive.
She's
her weekly lessons are worth watching, depending upon the time zone, because if you're in the Pacific time zone, that's great because they have them at 7 o'clock their time.
right.
So I just highly recommend it, but I wanted to tell you about the little song that we sang all weekend long about I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here.
Those things stick with you. Before I get to Reverend Jerry Arditz, did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, let's see. Not really, except I'll just stick in there, and maybe Liz can verify this too. I believe, because I get so much stuff, a lot less in the mail today, because as we all do, we get most of it online. But I believe that the Miracle Distribution Center sends out a newsletter.
Yes.
And it's really good, and have been for quite a while. And also too, I think the foundation does have a section on our page that leads people to different centers where meetings might occur in your area to get together with people to study the course. I don't know how up to date it is because of COVID and everything, but I do know that the distribution center also does that. So if people know somebody who wants to get a group or find a group that's close by to them, they can contact the Miracle Distribution Center, and they have a big list there. You just put in your address, and they'll pull up somebody who might be a contact, just as a side
That's
thought.
great.
And thanks for the song too.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Okay, thank you so much, Ardith and Reverend Jerry.
Yes, we just got our newsletter from MDC today in the mail. It's called The Holy Encounter,
Yeah,
and it's just filled with wonderful articles and such. And Beverly's a delight. I've gotten to meet her a few times and gone to those gatherings in Florida because it's sort of close to where I live in Nashville. The other thing I wanted to say, I was going to say kids, but you're all light, kids of light. The other workbook lesson, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world, really clarifies it for me. Okay, I'm the light of the world. What does that mean? And we've been talking about that, and there's been some right-on comments about what it means. But Yeshua talks about forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And why is that? Well, because I'm so prone to condemning first. You know, I first got on this call, and the good ego that I am, in quotation marks, you know, I started judging and being critical. And as soon as I got to say something, and thank you for acknowledging that I could speak, you know, and the shift occurred from that fear that put me in a place of judgment and criticism in my mind to one of forgiveness, both of myself and of the people that I was nonsensically and just dissociatively judging for no good reason. I felt like I'm an outsider here. Nobody knows me here. They all seem to be friends. And I mean, this nonsense that, you know, I'm separate. But the idea that forgiveness was the key to my shift, and the miracle was so important in this particular experience that I'm having on this call. And I'm just so grateful for the miracle. Thank you, Holy Spirit, and thank you all angels on this call who are, of course, what do I want to say? Co-Christ with
Creators,
us all.
co-create,
What? Yeah. What?
co-creators.
Yes.
co-creators.
I love you. Thank you.
We love you too. Okay. So,
Shall I read?
yes.
All right. Be sure both to begin and end the day with a practice period. Thus you will awaken with an acknowledgement of the truth about yourself. Reinforce it throughout the day and turn to sleep as you reaffirm your function and your only purpose here. These 2 practice periods may be longer than the rest if you find them helpful and want to extend them. Today's idea goes far beyond the ego's petty views of what you are and what your purpose is. As a bringer of salvation, this is obviously necessary. This is the first of a number of giant steps we will take in the next few weeks. Try today to begin to build a firm foundation for these advances. You are the light of the world. God has built his plan for the salvation of his Son on you. Well, I've been quiet with the comments because I didn't have much to contribute. I had difficulty understanding at first how I could be saying I'm the light of the world and that's my only function is true humility. But by listening to all the other comments, I finally think I understand that I don't need to know what's going on in the world and just accept my function as light of the world and leave the rest up to the Holy Spirit. Ask for guidance. And if I don't get guidance, just be quiet and try to send love out to everybody.
Yeah. And you know, at the very beginning of the course, what he says is that we need to be saying that prayer really every second of the day. I am here only to be truly helpful. And so then when I read this, so it's my purpose and my function, and they say these other things. It's your function to be, oh, well, what does it say? Truth about yourself, of your only purpose here. And so it makes me stop and think, okay, I thought my purpose here was to be, I'm here only to be truly helpful. But what I think the overarching thing for me is that forgiveness, when I am truly in a state of forgiveness about everything, forgiving everyone for everything, then I think I will have all these attributes naturally. I will be helpful. I will be loving. I will be all of these things. It's forgiveness that opens the door for me to have all these wonderful attributes that I can share or express. Aha, Ardith.
Yeah, I agree with exactly what you're saying, and I'm surprised. No, I'm not at all surprised. Take that back. Take that back. I was exactly thinking of exactly what you were saying at the moment you were saying it.
Wow.
And the reason being is that I believe this is it's used as a prayer very appropriately to begin a lot of the webinars, if not all of them. And it goes on to tell us, give us more confidence in what I believe was said prior to your comment. Was it Jerry who was speaking? I didn't, my thing was off, so I'm not sure.
Andrew.
I'm sorry, what?
Andrew.
Andrew. Well, the one before, who made the comment?
Reverend Jerry, yeah.
Oh, yes, excellent, excellent. Okay, this kind of fits. I'm gonna give us the rest of these lines because it's so important,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
this helps us to fill in the blanks. Started
Sharon,
by Jerry.
Sharon, sorry, could you stop share screen? Then we
Oh,
can
yeah.
see everybody.
Well, then
again.
I don't need to. Then we can all read it together. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to. I thought you were going to.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'll go, but she wants to put her screen up. It does go on to say, I'll just take it from the top, as they say.
Yeah.
I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. I really love that so much, so much. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for bringing it up, starting with Reverend Jerry and going on and bringing us to this spot. It's perfect. Thank you.
I agree. Megan.
I don't want to slow anybody down, but I did have an experience, in the past couple of days. Just and I kept trying to decide whether I was delving into chaos or whether. So I was having an existential fight with the course and with God and with me and with ego, all trying to figure out where it all belonged. So my car broke down. I called a friend to see if he had an idea of what it needed. And I was worried about money and I was worried about so many things. And I realized that I needed to just stop worrying because the sun was going to rise tomorrow and the car would get fixed at some point, whether it was today or tomorrow. I might pay money or not pay money, but eventually the car will need more money. And so I started realizing that nothing I was worried about or thinking about was actually at issue. It was simply my sanity and my ability to be here, present now, and to rise above it and accept that this is not my purpose to worry about the car or my problems or my roommate or calling people back or anything. I just got caught in this, like, what should I do? And then I realized, stop doing anything, stop everything, just slow down, just take a beat, just live in it and realize that all things are taken care of. Everything that I worried about is going to be taken care of in time, in the right order. And then part of me thought, when I started feeling more myself, I was thinking, wait, those people at the shop need my money just as much as I need it. So I blissfully called my insurance agency, had them tow the car to the shop. The shop gave me an estimate. I said, take care of it. And they said, okay. It's been the most joyous way of getting the car fixed than I ever could have thought of, because normally I'm just like, oh my God, it's gonna do what? And so I called my mom and I said, I got the car fixed. I said, it's like $750. She goes, oh my God, $750. I go, at least it's not 2,000. She's so helping out. But I was just like, it could be worse. It could be better. It's nothing. It really, nothing of it is nothing. Like, eventually you spend how much money over your lifetime? I think that people calculate it and you go, oh, that's a lot of money. And you think, who cares? Money is just like, if you're eating, if you're sleeping, if you got a home over your head, if you have friends and family and if you have community, there's not a lot more you can truly ask for, and then there's those special times when you just need support, and then ask for that too. So I was really glad to have you guys, because like, oh good, Tuesday I get to see my peeps, my clan,
My tribe.
my tribe. That's right, found my tribe. And so I said, I am just so glad that I get to weekly come back to reinvest in my own belief system, and with people who are on the journey with me that are not going to look at me strange or say, you're glad to send your car up to the repair shop? I'm like, why not? Why not be glad? But anyway, thanks for that.
Thank you, Megan. It's always a delight to listen to you. Okay, and Johanna.
Thank you, Megan. That was a good story. I would like to go back a little again to You Are the Light of the World, because a thought that came up during the conversation, listening to everybody, was that when I'm the light of the world, I'm just not one little light. When I'm the light of the world, I'm the one sun that is the light of the world.
Right.
And so I thought I'd share that.
That's true. That's true. Reverend Jerry.
Well, there you go. You just stole my thunder. You are the light of the world. And yes, because I was going to say, Yeshua is never, the Course, and Yeshua is never speaking to me, Jerry. He's always speaking to the Christ mind. And the Christ mind, at least my aspect of it that I consider myself to be separate from, but he's speaking to the mind, and the right mind is, he's telling that right mind, you go ahead and direct your body at this juncture in your learning curve in this earth school to communicate love. I'll give you the inclination and the light to do that, but I'm speaking to your mind. So you don't have to worry about being arrogant. I'm not speaking to you, Jerry. I'm speaking to the Christ mind. But the Christ mind, in this classroom that we're in, is going to appear to tell the brain in this guy that I identify as Jerry to do something loving and helpful. But it's two steps removed from what Yeshua and the truth is, that I'm the light. I am the light of the world. Is the mind. The mind is always the recipient of the light, never the body.
Right.
There is none.
Right. That's so true. Thank you. Thank you. Well, shall we go on to the next one? Okay. Let me share my screen. And we will go to the next lesson. I'm going to have to try and. Oh, I can't.
Click the arrow on the right.
I know, but the images of all of you. Oh, I can move that over. I can move all of you over, and then now I see the arrow. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So, Johanna, why don't you read for us?
All right. Paragraph 1.
Sure.
Lesson 62. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It is your forgiveness that will bring the world of darkness to the light. It is your forgiveness that lets you recognize the light in which you see. Forgiveness is the demonstration that you are the light of the world, Through your forgiveness does the truth about yourself return to your memory. Therefore, in your forgiveness lies your salvation.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything they want to add to that? Or, oh, aha, Megan.
I just wanted to say while she was speaking like that, the sentence forgiveness is the demonstration that you are the light of the world. That really just struck home with me. It's the demonstration. Forgiveness is demonstration that you are the light of the world.
Right.
I don't know why I keep wanting to say it over and over again. It's very weird, but I just really connect with that.
Yeah, it's not the idea of forgiveness, it's the demonstration of it, the actual doing of it. Good point, Megan. Okay, Andrew.
Michael's hand was physically up.
Pardon?
Michael's physical hand was up first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see all of that.
Yeah,
Go
I got really primitive there.
Ah,
you
okay.
know.
And see, I can't see a hand at all with Michael. I can see your hand, but not the little hand symbol. But go right ahead, Michael.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't realize that you wouldn't be able to see my physical hand. I could have done the technical thing, but I thought that's pretty big there.
Old school.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if I do this, I
Oh.
can see all of you. There. Okay, go right ahead.
Hi. Well, yeah, I don't generally think of myself as the light of the world. I mean, you know, I get caught. I've got I'm kind of wired to have reactions like human beings are. And we all each have our own set of reactions that are part of our repertoire as human beings. So I often get caught reacting after it's too late. And I very rarely catch myself before that happens. And so I get into trouble with other people, you know, who think I should be doing it differently because they're not practicing forgiveness. And then I have to go through and forgive the world, forgive myself, you know, and do all that in order to feel okay. And at that point, I am being the light of the world because that reactionary part isn't present. The one that's called Michael Wilson is just not, you know, doing Michael Wilson. He's doing Christ. And that's why forgiveness is my, is my function, because I can't be the light of the world without it.
Right. That's true. Andrew.
Thank you. Yeah, that clarifies the whole last lesson for me. That's, you know, it takes away the mystery of how you can be humble and be the light of the world just by being forgiving. That's pretty easy to understand. What's a little tricky is we're here to be truly helpful, but we don't really know how to be truly helpful to people. You know, your neighbor needs a hand with something, or a friend wants to borrow money, or, you know, it's hard to know what the right thing to do is to be truly helpful, except to be loving and forgiving. That's the only way I know to be truly helpful.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just,
I appreciate
know,
that. Go ahead, Ardith.
okay,
Ardith,
Oh,
I think.
Artist is muted, but Michael wanted to respond.
Oh,
yeah,
Michael
oh.
wanted to
Yeah, I'm
respond.
sorry.
Go ahead, Michael.
That's what I said. I was telling him to go ahead. I didn't realize I was on mute. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, so I get caught in that because one of my ideas about who I am, Michael Wilson, is that I'm here to be truly helpful. And so that's one of my triggers, you know. I'm always trying to be helpful. And oftentimes when I'm trying to be helpful, I'm not helpful at all. And so it's not because obviously because I'm not being perceived as being helpful by other people, right? So that's where it gets really difficult trying to be this person that we created, that we made up. And yet, I mean, we really can't be helpful if we're doing that. At the same time, if I'm doing Michael Wilson, I can't be helpful, truly helpful. And that's why we have these lessons, and we're asked, like in the last lesson, practice this thing all damn day.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't, most of the time, we're not going to be truly helpful. Because
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking. Go ahead.
all this reactivity that's built into us trying to be something we're not is it's just going to constantly trip us up. It's going to not be helpful. It's not going to be perceived that way. So we really do have to forget ourselves. But
Right.
that's not something that is really very easy to do if you're not practicing all the time.
Right. Right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Ardith, did you have something to add? We are right at the hour, so. we need-
I know. I know.
Go right
I had some other stuff, but I figured if it was necessary, Holy Spirit would have given me more time. I just aim this at Michael. We share that your last name shares my middle name, so I think it's geared right to you. I think the whole answer, it's easier said than done, but the whole answer is really in that what we read, what Sharon brought up, and then what we read about being truly helpful. Because if we realize that all we do is clam up, I'll put it in plain English, just let it be and listen, and however we feel led to do it, because we can't judge. We don't know. It may appear somebody doesn't feel that we're being helpful. I've seen it happen where someone says that they heard a word at one particular point, and then years later someone came back to them and says, you know, that situation was really tough and you really were hard on me, but I got to say, if you hadn't said that at that moment, I don't know what I would have done. And so it's truly an unlearning experience that we're going through right now. And the clarification of terms says, as I wrap it up, a universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible but necessary. And it says it's this experience towards which the Course is directed. And then it finally ends with, here alone consistency becomes possible because here alone uncertainty ends. So we just got to keep plugging it like we're going to Carnegie Hall, keep practice, and just know how beautifully loved we all are. And if our intention is in that direction, we can't fail. So Michael, bless you. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Thank you, Ardith. Megan, you want to wrap it up for us?
Oh, such pressure. In response to Michael and Ardith, I think one of the big things with the coursework and everything is to stop trying to think of myself as something separate and start thinking of myself as incorporating an authentic part of me in with God, because if I think of myself as Megan McGill, I'm creating this separation, I'm dividing myself. But if I say that I'm authentically allowing God to join with me, then I am allowing God to speak through me more often, and then allowing some of these triggers to drop, because instead of being triggered, or being in the moment of trigger, I'm backing up and saying, that's interesting. Normally I would react this way, but now I'm just going to either let it go or forgive it or do something else. So I don't know if that helps, but I really appreciate what Michael was saying and what Artist was saying, because it really did bring up a lot of stuff in me personally to help me realize a few things.
Thank you. Well, we are past the time. Thank you all for being with us, and thank those of you who are at home and will be watching this later. Thank you all, and come back. We're here every Tuesday.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.